Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return to round 3 of the F123 Ollie Bearman Career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the inaugural Formula 2 weekend from Albert Park, Australia. If you missed out on the action that went live last weekend from Saudi Arabia, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Two pretty damn crazy races. Currently we're sat in P15 overall in the championship there. Just 8 points to our name, despite the opening 4 race weekends worth of action. Hopefully this weekend as we move to Albert Park, things can look to improve. But yeah, of course, if you're new around here, make sure you get yourself subscribed as well. We're getting very, very close now to 120,000 subscribers, but let's dive into qualifying. Right, here we are then, ready for the Australian Grand Prix qualifying session. Of course, the aim of the game around here now obviously is speed. But yeah, not really too sure as to what we want to be doing with the Formula 2 car ready for this venue. Of course, speed might be the goal. But yeah, still very, very easy to slip up. You know, the traction is a very, very really limited circuit still. It is Albert Park, especially through that final sector. So I'm going to have to try and run some very, very low pressures and see how we get on. But we've only got one chance. We've got to make it count here in Melbourne. Let's get our sweat on. Our way at the final corner, really nice and tidy through those final couple of turns. It's going to be mighty close, but I think we've done it. I think we might be on pole position then, ready for the Australian Grand Prix. Yes, we have there. Love it.
As we wind down from the excitement of qualifying, here's a look at your top 3. Bearman, Pourchaire, Amory Cordial. Goodbye for now then, but we really are just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Well, there we go then. It is pole position here in Melbourne, then ready for the Australian GP. Obviously, it'll be the main event tomorrow, won't it? Of course, we'll start from P10 for the sprint race today. But Cheo Pourchaire, the only other car there to get under 1 minute 30. Amory Cordial, I am expecting a patch at some point regarding the AI's impressive speed for some of them at least. Let's get into it though. Sprint race from the land down under.
Delighted to welcome you to Albert Park, the newest edition on the official FIA Formula 2 calendar. The heat is going to be a test for drivers and cars today, ahead of the feature race. It's a new addition to the Formula 2 calendar. Albert Park has been an iconic F1 circuit for years. Recently remodeled to encourage tighter racing on track, it is 3.28 miles, 14 turns instead of the original 16. That means it's 5 to the left and 9 to the right with 3 DRS zones. As we await the start of another hugely anticipated Formula 2 race, I'm joined again by Davide Valsecchi. Davide, as a former GP2 champion, can we get some insight to what is running through these young drivers' heads as they sit out on the grid?
Ciao Alex, it's a pleasure to be here. There are nervy moments, there is no doubts about that. Mental strength is the key to remain calm and focusing on the upcoming race. Formula 2 is so competitive and all of the drivers knows that they are going to be pushing each other all of the way. In this sport, you have to be able to control your nerves.
Well, here we are then. Trackside ready for the Formula 2 sprint race then here from Albert Park. And of course we know that there still might be a bit of an issue in terms of trying to get the medium tyres, obviously, to last a sprint race and then also some of the main events. So I'm tempted to try and go on a set of super soft tyres here and see if we can make them go the distance there. I don't think we can risk it though, sensibly. You know, Albert Park, Australia isn't a bad track for tyres, but it's also not a particularly good one then. As we line up then, 10th place on the grid. Hopefully a good chance of points today. 5 red lights. It's going to be lights out and away we go there. And actually one of my better starts so far of the season will immediately go down the middle of a handful of cars there. Fred Vesti struggling on the way down in towards turn 1. Wasa tries to cut in from the left there. I think that was Dennis Hauger who tried to cut in at the right there. And a big wobble as we make our way at the first couple of corners there. But surprisingly, fairly uneventful start then here at Albert Park. Yeah, won't lie, was not expecting that through the first couple of turns, but we will absolutely take it there as we try and make our way into the middle sector. Quite happy as well. Obviously making up some places as well. Have struggled to really work out how to launch these cars up to now, but clearly a quick shift up into second gear once you've got the turbo spooled might be the way to go then. As you can see, that corner easy flat in Formula 1. Just that lack of downforce, that effect of the dirty air, making it a much bigger challenge in FI Formula 2 as we make our way to the end then of the back straight. Of course, we've got this little chicane to try and navigate, where I gained a lot of time on yesterday's qualifying lap, but yeah, heading down then in towards the final couple of turns. Just trying to make sure we keep it clean and tidy. If we were to finish here, it would be 2 points in this sprint race, but let's be fair, we all know what it's like. FI Formula 2, very, very rarely do you finish exactly where you are at the end of lap 1. It's full of action, it's full of surprises, and I believe it is the homeboy, Jack Doohan, who leads the way at the end of lap 1 there as we get a nice drift out of the final corner. No, sorry, it is Victor Martins. Just taking a little bit of time then early on in this race just to study what the AI are doing around us. Of course, you can always learn a lot from how their cars are set up, as we might be under a bit of pressure now from Dennis Hauger down in towards turn 3. Or he thought about it, he just showed the nose at the last second, but luckily able to hook it up right around the outside. Yeah, the AI definitely running a little bit less downforce than me here. We seem to be losing a little bit down the straights, but gaining through some of the corners. However, final sector, the AI, that is not the line out of there. Yeah, the AI seem to be very, very brave through the third last corner, the second last right-hander of the lap. Able to carry a lot of speed, so we've just got to be a bit careful, of course. But now with the DRS enabled, we're under increasing pressure again from Hauger behind. We need to try and get up to Vesti. Gives him a braking point down the end of the back straight. Luckily, Hauger unable to capitalise. But look at that, we seem to get a big wash of understeer. The AI, this Hauger's actually going to just try and bump me through the final couple of corners there. Was that like a pit manoeuvre he was going for or what? I don't quite know. But yeah, unable to make the move work. However, that's meant the cars in front now, opening up a big opportunity there, as here comes Hauger again, back down the inside, ready for turn 1. Whoa, he jumps over the curb now. I thought he was fully past me in towards that first apex, but apparently not. And again, we will live to fight another day. But again, Hauger thinks about showing the nose. We just won't quite allow it. Well, reaching half distance then of this race, Hauger now no longer really hassling me. He's got Teo Porcher all over his gearbox, and Fred Vesti in front. Whoa, just run a little bit wide. We've got yellow flags out. Don't know who that is dropping to the wayside here, but yeah, Vesti in front doesn't quite seem to be able to match those cars in front of him. We're losing a little bit of time. There was Kushmani out then of the GP. Unfortunately, no safety car, because that would give everyone an opportunity and box onto some super softs. We just seem to be racing into a bit of no man's land at the moment, as Hauger now It's starting to take a little bit of time out of me again. This is what I don't quite understand at the moment. Hauger is hardly challenging me. He's sat between sort of half a second and 8/10ths back. So he's getting the DRS every lap. But the cars in front are still going close to a second a lap faster. Like, why have we suddenly got such a pace divide between the cars? Or is Hauger just not worried about jumping me? I don't really know what's going on here, but considering we took pole on Friday night, we are really struggling for race pace. We've got more yellows out as we get towards 2/3 distance here. That is one of the... Is that an MP gone or is that a Campos? I might be completely wrong with either of those guesses. They're still actually going though, so not too sure what that was all about. Let's go take a look. So it was actually the Van Amersfoort car down of Juan Manuel Correa as we make our way down the back straight. Are we just going to see him take a bit too much curb on the exit there, following Ralph Boschung in the Campos, and just dips it a little bit wide, bottoms out over that curbing, and we'll go for a very, very quick spin there. Lucky not to hit anything in the process, but yeah, a very, very disappointing instant there for Correa, who is probably set for quite a lonely end to this race unless anything crazy happens. Now I've really got no idea what's happening because Hauger is still dropping away from me. The gaps are still opening up in front. Exactly, Hauger's going 3/10 a lap slower than me. He hasn't even challenged me at all throughout the second half of this race, but...
Frederick's ahead of you now. Okay, gap ahead is 8.3 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 9 laps old, and the time last lap was a 1:34.2. You're losing around 7/10 a lap at this pace.
We are just 7/10 a lap slower than those AI, and seemingly 3/10 a lap faster than the ones behind me, unless I make a big mistake. Very, very weird here. It kind of seems like the AI just trying to avoid me at all costs. I genuinely don't think I've ever had a race like it inside F123, in either the F1 or the Formula 2 cars. But Hauger just can't get close enough to go for anything. And it doesn't even look like the AI at the front are slipstreaming each other and, you know, doing like a DRS kind of moves. So it's just very, very weird. Well, Hauger seems to have finally decided that he's actually going to start going for it again into these last couple of laps here. You can see the gap now down to just 4/10 of a second. He's just getting closer and closer. But he actually, is he lifting off? He's losing time down the back straight. So perhaps that's why the AI behind me aren't closing in. Perhaps they're lifting off on that back straight inside my DRS for some reason. This genuinely has got to be one of the weirdest races I've ever had on an F1 game in terms of a ridiculous pace split between the cars, like perfectly the cars in front of me and the cars behind me there. But as we make our way in through the final couple of corners to start the last lap then, Victor Martins has led this thing from start to finish. And I can only feel that this is like payback for saying at the start of this race that you never finish where you start in Formula 2, or at least you never finish where you were at the end of lap 1. Because basically, in layman's terms, nothing has happened in that time. We came under a little bit of pressure from Hauger, which he seems to be trying to ramp back up again right towards the end of this race. But aside from that, yeah, really not a lot has gone on throughout most of this, which is very, very weird. But as we make our way then through this final lap, got to make sure I still don't do anything stupid. The car does ride very, very low over the curbing. We all know just how lethal the curbs can be here on the new Albert Park layout. In terms of tyre wear, yeah, they're not going to be fun. They're going to be one lap and done in tomorrow's feature race, so got to keep that in mind as well. Fingers crossed EA drop a patch for that in the very near future. But yeah, it looks like we've only dragged Hauger and Porcher along with me inside the dying stages here. One of the Tridents inside the top 10 there, just really slowing everybody down. But yeah, Victor Martins through the final couple of corners he goes. He is going to take victory then here in the inaugural Australian Formula 2 sprint race. But as we make our way through the final couple of turns, we started 10th, we made up a few spots early on. Unless I make something really bad out of the final couple of corners, it looks like we're going to come through for a couple of points come the end of Saturday here. Dennis Hauger keeping very, very close, but is 2 points on the board.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for ART today. Tell me, Davide, what was the key to this success?
This race, this win, was about one thing and one thing only: consistency. Anyone can be quick for just one lap, but there's a difference between that and being quick every lap, over and over and over. If you can do that, if you can gain ground when your opponents make mistakes, but then not make mistakes on your own, you can just push and push.
An amazing race today, and a very well-deserved one too. The team worked very hard to get exactly the right setup out of the F2 car. It works for them, and the results speak for themselves. ART GP winners today. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Victor Martins takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. And now, Davide Valsecchi, let me ask you, who is your driver of the day?
Lots of drivers impressed me today, Alex. But if I have to say one that impressed me most, it's Victor Martins.
And here's how things are shaping up in the Teams' Championship. ART have extended their lead over the championship. There was also a strong showing from the MP Motorsport team today as they make their way up the standings. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
Well, there we are then. Victor Martins takes home the dub here in Albert Park, Australia. Jay and Aruvula following him home closely in P2 there with Brad Benavides. Yet another podium for the American there. Fred Vesti, his first points of the year. But yeah, 3rd to 6th in the end, not ideal because most of those places were lost on lap 1. I've clicked the wrong button there. We weren't looking for a replay. It does mean though, championship-wise, Martins takes over the lead at the top of the table. 2 points clear of Ashore and 3 points ahead of Brad Benavides there. But still, 8 cars covered by a feature race wins margin at the top of the table. We're now up to P12 ahead of the 2 Americans, Correa and Crawford. And yeah, Vesti opens up his account as well. They're just leaving Leclerc, Nassani, Stanout, Boschung and Doohan still yet to score points. Constructors-wise, we're still down in 10th there. We're 1 point though behind Dams and Carlin, so maybe we can get the better of them in tomorrow's feature race there. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we will be back tomorrow then. Remember, we start from pole for the feature race. You guys do not want to miss that. A massive thank you to all of my YouTube members and my Patreon supporters for their continued donations to help my work. These things go much further than I think a lot of you ever realise and allow me to continue making content full-time here on YouTube. So if you want to support me from as little as £1 a month and be featured on all of these end clips, either click the join button next to the subscribe or head over to my Patreon. There's a link down in the description.